Today, we're going to talk about why buying a property in Summit County is the worst investment that you could possibly make in 2025. I own 3 properties out here in Summit County, and I am a real estate agent with Liv Sotheby's International Realty, so I feel like I'm pretty well equipped to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into why buying a property as a short-term rental investment in Summit County is literally terrible. The number one reason is the entry point of condo prices here in Summit County. You're looking at 1-bedroom condos, studio condos from $450 all the way up to $700,000 and even higher for new construction. That's insane. With today's interest rates, you're looking at a mortgage payment of over $3,000 a month at very base minimum. And then on top of that, you're looking at $1,000 a month HOAs, and that's the average in Summit County. So some cases lower, but a lot of cases even higher. Can you imagine paying $500,000 for a condo, a 6.5% to 7% interest rate, probably higher for an investment property, and then another $1,000 a month in HOAs plus 25% management fees, which we'll get into? I mean, you got so many carrying costs on this. It just doesn't make any sense to be buying a property for a short-term rental investment. The reason I bring this up, guys, is because so many people on the channel here are looking at the next great investment play. They're like, hey, where can I get that short-term ROI? Buy a property in Summit County, put it on the short-term rental market, and I'm chilling. That is not how it goes here. The investment play in Summit County is in the long-term appreciation, but primarily it's in the lifestyle. If you love the beautiful outdoors, the mountains that we got back there, the hiking, the biking, the fishing, the off-roading, the skiing, I mean, there's so many different things. That's what you buy an investment property in Summit County. Invest in your lifestyle. Man, investing short-term at these prices just makes absolutely no sense. Number 2 are the carrying costs associated with owning a condo or a short-term rental property here in Summit County. And just like I mentioned before, you're looking at crazy high HOA fees. You're looking at 25% management fees, which is, again, average here for property management companies in Summit County. You're bringing in $50,000 a month, 25% right off the top goes straight to a property management company. I mean, there's all of your profit margin right there. Then you've got your lodging tax, which ranges from high 8% all the way up to 12.25%. I mean, you're looking at almost 40% just in fees that are taken right off of the top. Then you've got your mortgage payment, then you've got your HOAs, then you've got your capital expenditures, then you've got a little bit of extra money just in case anything else happens. It's like, how do you even make sense of putting a property on the rental market and justifying that? There's just no ROI in that. So that is definitely one of the biggest reasons why you should not be looking at Summit County for an investment property. The number 3 reason why you should not invest into a property in Summit County for the investment or the short-term rental revenue is self-management. I hear so many times that people are like, Anthony, I could just save the 25% property management fee and I can go ahead and manage it myself. Super easy. All I got to do is manage the Airbnb requests, manage the Airbnb bookings, manage difficult short-term renters, take care of all of the property myself, take care of any maintenance, handle everything. It's so easy. I can just save 25%. Bada bing, bada boom, done. Tell me you know absolutely nothing about managing a short-term rental without telling me. That is something that you definitely do not want to do here in Summit County, especially if you don't live here. If you live here, different story. You might be able to make it happen. Like my wife and I, we live here full time, so it's easier for us. But if you live down in Denver, or if you live out of state for that matter, do you think that you're going to want to be dealing with Airbnb guests who are calling you or texting you every day, multiple times a day? How are you going to be able to manage that? That is literally like a full-time job. And then when something breaks, who are you going to get to go and repair that? You're just going to call a handyman last minute? Do you know anything about contractors here in Summit County? To find a really good one is near impossible, and usually the good ones are booked out for months in advance. So now you're looking at getting some handyman who might not be licensed or insured, and then you're having them go and fix your condo. How does that work if you can't get them right away? I mean, gosh, there's so many different aspects of managing a short-term rental, and most folks just don't understand. And if you think that you're just going to go in there and manage it yourself from afar, good freaking luck. It is a full-time job, and it's something that I would not recommend. Absolutely do not do that. So self-management, completely out of the question. Another reason why you should definitely not invest into a property here in Summit County. The number 4 reason why you should not invest into a property here in Summit County, especially if you're looking at older condos or older homes, are capital expenditures and HOA costs. So let's start with the condos and the HOA costs. We have condos out here that were built back in the 60s and 70s, and a lot of the people that lived there decided that they didn't want high HOAs because they couldn't afford it, or whatever reason, they just didn't want to pay higher HOAs. The problem with that is that they weren't able to build up enough reserves in the case of something breaking, which, as all real estate investors know, is inevitable. If you don't have reserves to fix something when it goes wrong, then how are you going to pay for it? You're going to have to come out of pocket, which eats up all of your equity. And that's exactly what we saw with a lot of condo complexes here in Summit County. Folks did not want to pay into those reserves. The big capital expenditure hit. The roof needed to be redone. The siding needed to be redone. They needed to pave the driveway. They needed to install new boilers, water heaters, new wiring, because the condos were built so long ago. They had aluminum wiring, and now they're going to copper wiring. And then you're talking about $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 per unit that you have to just pull out of thin air. There goes all of your equity that you built over the last 20 years. So if you're going to invest into a condo out here and the HOAs aren't higher, be very wary, because those condos probably don't have the reserves to account for capital expenditures, which again are inevitable. Same thing goes for older homes. Be careful with older homes out here. A lot of our inventory, again, was built in the 60s and 70s. So you have older homes that just have older mechanical systems, older building codes. And so when you go to inspect these properties, you realize you need like $250,000 just to fix and update the systems. And that's not on top of the other $250,000 to $300,000 that you're going to have to spend updating the home. So from that perspective, definitely don't invest in something here, because you think you're buying something cheap and it's a great deal. And then a month or two later, you find out you have to bust out the checkbook and write a check for $100,000 to $300,000. There goes all of your equity, there goes all of your investment, and now you're underwater and wishing you had never bought something here. Okay, I know I've just sounded totally doom and gloom there and why you should not be buying an investment property here in Summit County, but there are plenty of reasons why you should be investing into a property in Summit County. My name is Anthony Soul with Live Sotheby's International Realty. So I sell real estate here for a living. I own multiple rental properties here, including my primary residence, which I'm sitting on right now, and I'm very well versed and know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. So if you guys need help in navigating this real estate market here in Summit County, feel free to reach out to me with the phone number right here or my email, and I'm happy to talk through it. But anyway, let's talk about the reasons you should absolutely invest into Summit County. And the number one thing that I always say is the lifestyle out here is bar none the best lifestyle that you can find in the entire country. And it's evident by the fact that U.S. News did a report that the average life expectancy out here is 98.9 years. Basically, the overarching theme there is that people are outside enjoying the beautiful Rocky Mountains. As you can see behind me, it is sunny. The sunshine here, we get 300 sunny days a year. The mountains are absolutely incredible. You can hike that mountain right there. That's Buffalo Mountain. There's hiking, biking, skiing with 300 sunny days a year. It just lends itself to the perfect adventurer's paradise. You can just be outside every single day. And so the reason you should invest into a property here is for your lifestyle, for your mental health, for all of these different things. If you just want a little bit of peace in your life, you buy a second home here. And I mean, besides the wind right now, which you may or may not hear, it is just so peaceful here. And then for those of you who are working in corporate America, you commute to a city every day. To be able to come and escape from that, that's where the investment is. And where the average life expectancy in America is about 78 years, and the average life expectancy here is about 98 years, I can't think of a better ROI than 20 years of extra life. I hear this consistently from entrepreneurs who are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they would give anything to be 20 years younger. Well, the next best thing I could do is give you 20 years of extra life. So if you're looking to buy a property here, look number one for the lifestyle. The next reason why you should definitely make an investment into a property here is the community in Summit County. Summit County always has something going on between the volunteer organizations, between the events that are going on, things like First Friday and Silverthorne, the farmers markets in Breckenridge and Dillon, the amphitheater in the summertime at Dillon, all of the different events going on at all the different ski resorts in the wintertime. There is such a deep sense of connection and community here, and you feel it. As soon as you get here and you go to one of these local events, all the locals are just so happy, big smiles on their faces. All the tourists are so happy, big smiles on their faces. Everybody's saying hi to each other, conversing, just sharing in the greatness that is Summit County. So the community here is just bar none the best in the world, and it makes it so easy to connect with people, make friends, and you get to connect over things, again, like the lifestyle. You're looking for a biking community, a hiking community, a kayaking community, a rock climbing community, a skiing community, a bird watching community, sitting on the deck and catching a tan community. You can find that here in Summit County. As you can see the smile on my face right now, it's just absolutely incredible. The sense of community you get here in Summit County combined with the peacefulness of the Rocky Mountains, definitely a reason you should be looking at buying a property in Summit County. And finally, the last reason why I think buying in Summit County is a great investment play is the long-term appreciation. I've said this multiple times across all my different channels, but we have a scarcity problem here in Summit County. And what I mean by that is that we have a lack of inventory to meet the demand of the lifestyle. So we only have about 35,000 households here in Summit County, but we get millions of visitors every single year, and they all want the same thing. They all want to live here. They all want to own a place up in the mountains, and we just simply do not have enough inventory to meet that demand. On top of that, we don't really have a lot of buildable land left either. The county on average is about 90 to 92% built out, and part of the county's and town's visions, long-term visions, is to protect the beautiful nature that we have. And so a lot of this space is going to continue to stay protected. Our national forests are not going to be encroached upon, so there just is not a lot of land left to build on. And so for the long term, I believe with the lack of supply and the crazy high demand, you hold your property for 7 to 10 years, there's a really, really good chance that your property is going to appreciate. And you can just check the historical trends. Going back as far as 100 years ago, Summit County has always had a scarcity problem. And because of that, real estate has continued to grow in value, and why I think it's absolutely a fantastic investment play besides just the lifestyle. Again, guys, my name is Anthony Soul with Live Sotheby's International Realty here in beautiful Summit County. And again, I believe selling real estate here for a number of years and owning multiple properties here that I'm very well versed to help you guys navigate this market. But those of you, again, who are looking for that short-term ROI to make a quick buck, just invest in the stock market. Do some dividend investing. That's going to be your best bet if you want something quick. Or look at other markets like the Midwest right now. I know Detroit is coming up like crazy. There's great communities in Alabama and Arkansas and Ohio. I mean, you can make some really good money in those markets as they start to see more industrial investments, especially as manufacturing comes back to the States. But as far as buying something here and looking at it for a short-term ROI, it's just not really doable anymore. You really should be looking at this as a lifestyle investment first. So again, guys, feel free to call me, give me a shout, and I'm happy to help. And I'll see you in next week's video.